everyone. I'm Linda Nickell, and welcome to the Texas Women Photographers Circle. This is our monthly meetup. Here with me this evening are moderators Leslie Sessoms, who's really not here. She's actually got a pass. She's traveling tomorrow, so she's not here tonight, but she is based in the DFW area. And Sue Pitts is in Georgetown. Charlie Hickman is in San Antonio, and I'm Linda, and I'm based in Austin. Every month, we invite a guest to share their photography and some of their favorite tips and techniques to help us improve our photography and inspire us to try something new. The schedule for upcoming presentations is on my website at lindanickell.com, as well as the links to previous sessions on YouTube. Tonight's guest is Brie Stockwell. Brie is a landscape photographer and a certified life coach whose practice focuses on helping creatives reach their personal and professional goals. You can reach Brie through her website at creativemindscoach.com. And she also recently launched her new podcast, Wild Women in Photography. And she'll host her first Wild Woman Photography Escapes guided workshop. You can find more information under her new site, wildwomanphotography.com. In tonight's presentation, achieve creative goals with confidence. Many of us procrastinate and stall out in pursuit of creative goals like finishing an ebook, selling prints, creating a website, and all those other ideas that we can't seem to put in motion. More confidence is the key to forward momentum, and Brie will offer some real-life tips on how you can use it to achieve your creative goals. Brie, it's nice to have you here.
Thank you, Linda.
I'm giggling because you're somebody I met through Instagram. Is that how that
I think so?
It
must be.
Yeah,
it must be.
because I spend way too much time on Instagram.
Same.
And here you are doing a presentation for my group like a couple of years later. So sometimes it takes me a while to like figure out what people are doing, and something that you're doing kind of interests me and kind of fascinates me. And I think that you have a lot of information that will serve the people in this room and people that are watching. If you don't like kind of give them a little nudge, maybe they're already ready to jump, and it won't take that much for you to help them. But I'm hoping that you can give us some ideas, and just with your professional background, help us get unstuck or started.
You got it. I love goals. So
Okay.
Let's go do them.
Do it.
Are you ready? Should I share?
It's all yours.
Linda, thank you so much for asking me. And I just want to say, like, sometimes it takes us a while to figure out what we're good at and what we're doing. So don't worry if it took you a while to catch up. All right. So welcome, everybody. This is my family. Of course, like Linda said, my name is Brie Stockwell. I am a mom of 4. Now you'll see 5 kids here because my daughter is married now. I'm a creative coach. I call myself the Creative Minds Coach because I'm a certified life coach, but I love, love, love everything about creativity and art, and I think it takes, I think when you're in this space, it takes kind of a special brain. And so I love working with creatives. I'm also a nature and landscape photographer. I love hiking, and I'm a musician, and I just call myself a lifelong creative. So it's a little about me. Also, I want to say here, like, I know that if you're a photographer, then you have the thing that you're passionate about. And this is what I am passionate about. I love wandering through the desert in the desert Southwest of the United States. And of course, we're in Texas now. So, but I have a podcast where I talk to somebody in Australia. So I always clarify it's in the US. So, but I'm especially drawn to dunes and rocks. And it was a special moment for me when I remember when I was first starting photography, and I gave myself permission to go photograph these things. And it's been so much fun. Oops, Let me go backwards. I'm also the host of 2 podcasts. Like Linda mentioned, I have a new podcast called Wild Women in Photography that I launched just about a month ago. It's been really fun. It's all conversations with other women. I just love that this is a group of women, and we're going to hear their stories. And it's been really fun for me to record. I can't wait to share more of them. And I also have one called A Creative Affair. It's with another photographer, actually, but he's an artist and mentor, and his name's Lynn Metcalf, and he's based in Sydney. And we talk about all things creativity. And I think anytime that, we do these things, it's actually more beneficial to me maybe than to you. So I'm personally getting a lot out of those. Okay, so here's what you can expect. We're going to do the presentation, and then of course, afterwards, or if Linda wants to interrupt, we'll do questions, and I might have some audience participation. Maybe in the chat, you can answer some of the questions. I'll tell you a tiny bit about how you can work with me, and then we'll do Q&A, and I have a confidence exercise if we have time. Okay, so this presentation is called Achieving Creative Goals with Confidence. I love it so much. I love this idea of confidence. Okay, so here's the secret to creative goals. So as we start, I just want to give you this reminder. This is the secret. No matter what else I talk about, this is the secret to finishing projects and achieving creative goals. It is deciding to keep going no matter what. Okay, no matter what, you just keep going. I have personally benefited from this thinking. I just keep going no matter what gets in my way, and I figure out how to get to the next thing. And the reason why we're going to talk about confidence is because it helps you do this no matter what. All right. It takes a lot of courage to start, and the power of confidence is actually the thing that helps us get to the finish line. So this is one of my personal mottos, is start with courage, because a lot of times there's fear. And then we finish with confidence, and it's in the doing. You get past that initial fear, that initial fear bit, that resistance, and we use our courage to go into it. And then it's the confidence that we want to take it to the finish line. And I can think of so many goals and projects that I have simultaneously felt fear and courage and self-doubt when I started. And many of the things I'm going to share with you tonight are the ways I built confidence to achieve these goals. As creatives and photographers, we need confidence to do what we do. And we especially need confidence to overcome failures, to move forward on goals, to receive critiques and feedback, make and share the art we love, and also to see what we're doing right and dream of future creative possibilities. And no matter where you feel you're at, there's always room for growth. And so tonight, I'm going to show you 6 ways that you can create the confidence you want, so that you can do more of what you're dreaming of. Because I believe this statement: confidence isn't something you're born with. It's absolutely something that you create. Okay, so to start, I want to define what confidence is. All right, so confidence is believing in yourself based on your past experience. It's about going into your past and finding that evidence. Okay, so I can go when I decide that I've taken a great photo, then I can go back and go, oh, I can do that again, because I've already made that kind of photo in the past, right? Like I already know how to do that. And so I have the confidence to do it again. Self-confidence is a different story. This is what we need in order to move forward to do something new. So, and it's in trusting your ability without any past evidence. And my example of this is starting a podcast. I'd never started I had never started. 2 years ago, I think, is when I first did my first one, and I had never done one before. I didn't even know what it would take. How do you record? What do you need? All of those things. And so I had to draw on my inside, my belief, in my ability and trust my ability to go and figure it out without any of the past evidence, because it was my first time. Okay. And usually that first time is the hardest, but we can make the process easier with increased trust in our abilities and belief in ourselves. And so this is the confidence that I'm going to be referring to for this presentation. Linda, this is where you first saw me. This is where we first met in person. So because this is how to achieve creative goals using confidence, I will be sharing quite a bit from this huge goal that I created and achieved. So this was it was a solo exhibition in my first year as a photographer. And this one, literally, I picked up a camera in December of 2019, and I decided I was going to do this. And it felt big and scary, super scary, and also really exciting. And because it was something I had never done before, it was the biggest catalyst for creating self-confidence, both personally and creatively. And so this is me in my house at my long-awaited exhibition. I hosted this in my home with 17 images that I learned to photograph and then print myself, and then how do you like display it and do all the things. And so I had to figure everything out from scratch, and I can answer any questions about this at the end if you'd like. So, and I'll be sharing more about this throughout the presentation. Confidence tip number one. All right. So as we've reached our first waypoint, I'd like to take a journey. And if you've ever done like any mapping, you always have like a waypoint that you can set. Okay. So this is our first waypoint on our journey. So I love this confidence tip. Number one is set a goal. So if you've already set a goal, awesome. It can feel small. It can be big, but here's the thing. This is a goal that you can plan on using as a tool to build the confidence that you want. Giving yourself something to reach for will be the quickest way to creating more confidence. Why is that? Because the act of making the goal, just like me, this totally happened to me, it will bring up all of the reasons and self-doubt not to go after it. And it's in the journey to complete it. And keep going, remember, keep going no matter what. And in the journey to complete it, there's going to be a lot of obstacles to overcome along the way. And it's how we teach ourselves to handle them with confidence versus self-doubt. That is where the growth happens. Okay, so I'm a huge believer in goals. All right, self-doubt is the opposite of self-confidence. As we trust ourselves to move forward to complete a goal, we can learn to trust that we have the ability to overcome any obstacle that presents itself. Remember, this is where I want to remind you, self-confidence is believing in yourself and trusting in your abilities without any past evidence. All right, so making a goal is going to bring up, remember I said it's going to bring up all this self-doubt, which usually sounds like this. Okay. I don't know how. I say this one a lot. I don't know how. What if I fail? What's the right way? This will be too hard. A whole slew of these, right? I only put a few up here. And here's the thing is, most of us think that if we're thinking this way, that something's wrong with us. And this is absolutely not true. And of course, it doesn't feel nice to think this way, like this way where we feel self-doubt, right? It usually feels pretty terrible, but you can use all of these unsure, uncomfortable emotions as a reminder that you're on your way to growth and that everything is okay. Actually use these as a trigger. I don't know how. Wait a minute. I actually do know how. This is just something I've told myself over and over again. Okay. Reaching for your goal should feel scary and exciting at the same time. You can use this as a way to remind yourself that you are personally growing. All right. So what goals are you working on? I cannot see the chat, but feel free to put in the chat and share with everybody else some of the goals that you're working on. All right. So what goals are you working on? Entering a competition? Get those images on a personal website? That was tricky for me at first. How am I going to do that? What do I have to do? What resolution do I download? Like, export them at and put them up. I mean, there's all these things to figure out, right? How do you sell your work? What kind of project are you working on? Are you going to start a blog? Are you going to try a new genre? Any of those things. This applies to goals within goals. So when I did this giant goal, or what felt like to me a giant goal, I had to chunk it out into smaller goals. One of them was printing. I told someone I bought a printer and they were like, "Are you crazy? That's a whole thing in itself." I was like, "Oh, I didn't know." So that was fun. So if you want to grow your creative confidence, it's a great place to start is just by challenging yourself to reach a goal. All goals are made of a lot of, just like I said, goals within goals, but they're made of a lot of singular actions, right? So let's talk about a couple of different kinds of action first before we move on. One is called passive action. And this is like the kind of information absorbing, like reading, watching YouTube videos. I did a lot of that for like 3 months. I just watched YouTube videos and read all the things I could, think of, getting inspired. And many of us hang out in this passive action phase because it feels super productive and really comfortable, like super comfortable. Because I don't know about you, but I like watching YouTube videos and I like being comfortable in my bed with my PJs on. That feels amazing, right? And I think, good for me, I'm doing something good, right? I'm learning. This is an integral part of goal achievement, but it's not the part that actually challenges us. The part that actually challenges us is called massive action. And it's exactly how it sounds. It's a lot of actual, physical, quantifiable actions that get us to the goal. So you're going to have to balance these two. So at some point, you've just got to take the massive action, right? And so a little bit about this. This is a picture of my new camera, brand new. Probably I took that in December of 2019, right? And then I would get my cute little Shimoda bag that looks all shiny and new right here. It does not look like that now. And this was a Barton Creek Greenbelt in Austin. And I would just go anywhere I could. I would put my camera in the bag and I would just go. And I was just photographing all kinds of stuff and practicing. And that was my massive action. So that brings us to number 2, our waypoint number 2, which is take action. So deciding to take action is a really important catalyst for developing confidence. And here's why. Before we decide to do something, we're usually pretty comfortable. Remember that passive action. We don't have to exercise our self-confidence. It doesn't take a lot of work to put on YouTube and absorb, right? But when we take real actions toward our goal or something we're working on, suddenly we start to stretch our confidence muscles, which can feel really uncomfortable. And that's where the growth is happening. And my favorite sayings is absolutely one of my favorite sayings is, I have it on a t-shirt actually. It says, comfort doesn't change you. And that is 100% truth. So if you want more confidence, you have to start doing things like taking action and feeling uncomfortable. Because taking action can be an uncomfortable step forward, I found it helpful to practice some thoughts that actually take the pressure off and it reminds me to trust myself. So these are some of my personal examples, and I'd love for you to consider what you could decide to take action on. So some of the things I am telling myself while I'm taking action is I'm just learning and trying some stuff. This is one of my times. I'm just out. This is like a raw image. Never did anything. Maybe I should. So I'm just learning and I'm trying some stuff. A lot of times when I'm feeling some self-doubt, I'll pull that one out. It's super helpful for me. I'm excited to surprise myself. Like, how is this going to turn out? I'm just taking action. I bet there's going to be some surprise here. This is actually, I want to tell you a tiny bit about this image. This is from a trip to Georgia. This is Georgia, y'all. And I did a little trip to Georgia in February of 2020. Now, I only had my camera for like 3 months. And I actually, for only photographing for 3 months, I actually think this is pretty good. I've got layers. It like takes you through. There's some interesting light. I mean, and who knew that this would be Georgia? So, and I surprised myself here. And that's one of my other favorite ones from it. And this was actually in my show because I liked it so much. And another thing I like to think that I like to draw upon is the more I practice, the easier this will get. This is one of my practices, and I don't necessarily, for me, this is nothing to write home about. You can see the power lines that I didn't even like notice through going through the image. But you know what? It didn't matter. I was out there practicing. And the more I did it, the easier it got. And so I love thinking this one. All right. So this is from, I dragged during 2020, so I had this big goal to have a solo exhibition. And then we had, of course, COVID in 2020. So the way I achieved this looked a lot different than I thought it would. But I dragged my husband on all kinds of little side trips. And I love that he took a picture of me doing this, making this photo, because when I was making this one, I thought to myself, oh my gosh, this is going to be amazing. I love this one. I'm getting this, right? I don't know if any of you thought this, and then you look at it and it's actually just a big fat fail. Now, I don't know, like for me, this feels like a fail because, well, if you look at it closely, it's out of focus and there's really no subject. My subject was not the trail. And so I don't even know what I was photographing here. However, I learned some stuff from here. So I was expecting, let me just pause. I was expecting to have success here. And when I looked at this one on the back of my camera, and I hadn't checked it in the field, and I'm looking at it, and we're long gone from the space. And I just felt all the weight of all this failure. I'm never going to get it. And I just sobbed. I stood at my kitchen sink. I like just wandered around my house cleaning. I swear I cried for like 2 hours because I just felt like I was never going to get it. I was just feeling like a big failure and I was not progressing. And now I actually know, because I'm thinking about failure in a different way, but now I actually know that it's the backlit plants that is what drew me to this image. I can look at it a little bit more objectively now. And that takes us to number 3, our waypoint number 3, which is reframe failure. So I don't consider, like I said, that I don't consider that image a failure anymore. I took time to pause and consider my experience and do the work to reframe how I was thinking about it. And one reason that we get stuck in failure is because we don't take time to work through it. And you can keep moving forward with confidence by just reframing how you think about failure. Okay, I love this saying too. I have all these little, I don't know if you've noticed, I have all these little sayings that help me out because I like pulling them out and telling these to myself whenever I get in a funk. Okay, failure is success in progress. And I don't know where I heard this quote, but I remind myself of it all the time. Because if I want to actually be successful, I need to be failing. I need to be going out and doing the work and trying things and seeing how it doesn't happen and then making changes, right? And just by thinking this, I change failure to be a positive thing, or at least something I would personally be willing to experience to reach my goal. So in order to achieve my goal, I want to be, and maybe you can think this too, I want to start failing on purpose. And this means taking small actions and expecting to fail. No, maybe some of you are having your minds explode. This is what I do now. So when I do this, I release the pressure of perfection and I can more confidently trust myself to just do the work. And I end up taking action with no expectations of success because the actual failure is just not even showing up, right? It's not what I expected. It's just like, it's not necessarily not achieving what I expect. It's just not actually showing up. Okay, so how do you do this? How do you fail on purpose? All right, so try this. Decide one or more ways you will fail on purpose. For me, it looked like just making a plan to get up at 5 a.m., grab my camera bag, and go out. Didn't matter what I photographed, getting out the door with my camera was the success. And I was planning on experimenting, and I was probably going to fail. So you just plan one way that you're going to fail, and then you do it. That's it. You just do those two things. Sounds easy, right? So what's one way that you could fail on purpose? What's one action that you could take and risk failure in the process? This is actually so important because so often we think, oh, I'm going to be so successful. I'm going to do this thing and it's going to be a big success. And then we're disappointed when it's not. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't try and hope for things, okay? However, could you release those expectations, show up, and then not be necessarily disappointed? You are moving towards your goal because you are just showing up. You are showing up and you're moving forward and you're just doing it. And we use this to show ourselves that that we oh wait, hang on a second. Sorry, I missed my notes. Okay. This is so important because we want to tell ourselves that we have the ability to just show up versus and ditch all the expectation of where we think we're going to be, some miraculous thing that we're going to get. Okay. So this is why it's really important to this. So to reframe this. Okay. So here's my personal example. I planned to do, so this is a year-long project, and I planned to do 25 fails every 90 days. So I had to make the list of 25 things I was going to do every 90 days. And then I would restart the next 90 days. Okay. So I plan to do things like 1 hour of on-location photography, editing practice, sometimes with a specific tool to learn. And towards the end, it was printing practice and lots more editing. Okay. So you get the picture, right? So I'm just showing up, right? I may not necessarily learn all the things or get where I want to, but showing up is the success. Okay. And I figured the more I could plan to fail, the closer to success I would be. Love this. I absolutely love that thinking. All right. So something interesting happened as I started reframing failure. And every time I went out to photograph, I expected to fail. And then surprisingly, I discovered that photography was actually more fun. And as I was doing the work, taking action, I was learning and gaining even more confidence. Big thanks to photo credit to Elise Bender for this photo of me in the wild. Now I want to talk about something that you might initially think is unrelated to confidence. And I'm going to share an experience to help illustrate this next tip. So after visiting White Sands National Park for just one evening, as I road tripped back to Texas, and this was not with Elise Bender, this is a different time, my first time there. I just wanted to go there for my very first time. I felt drawn there. So I was completely drawn there. I actually don't even know why. I just knew I needed to stop. So I went to Utah and came back and I stopped. So on my way home the next day, because it's 9 hours from White Sands back here to Austin, an idea came to me and I thought, I need to do a solo trip here. Just solely dedicated to photography now, and just go to White Sands National Park. And I thought, oh, I'll do a 5-day one. And maybe this doesn't sound crazy for you guys now, but I had been a mom with 4 kids for, I don't know how long. I don't even know if I've ever taken a personal solo trip for myself. So it sounded crazy that I was now going to go do this for photography. And I was just barely a beginner. Like this didn't feel like something that beginners did, right? So I felt super compelled to do it. And why would that be? So this takes us to number 4. Listen to your creative spirit. And at the time, I wasn't sure where this idea came from, but now I understand that within all of us is this creative spirit that inspires us and guides us and leads us to create more authentic work. And for me, it's been the source of some awesome intrinsic motivation. So this is from an article called Why Inspiration Matters. Inspired people reported higher levels. I'm just going to read this. Okay. So give me a second, Linda. Reported higher levels of important physiological resources, including belief in their own abilities, self-esteem, and optimism. Doesn't that sound like confidence, right? Mastery of work, absorption, creativity, perceived confidence, self-esteem, and optimism were all consequences of inspiration, right? Aren't those some amazing benefits? And this is all from listening and following our creative spirit. Isn't that amazing? Self-esteem, creativity, optimism, beliefs in one's abilities. That is confidence, and that's self-confidence. Okay. And this creative spirit is what basically compelled me to go walk around those dunes by myself with my camera. I had no idea what I was doing. And it sounded so crazy, but I listened. And it's really not so crazy now because I've done multiple trips now. and I'm going back there all the time. So, but because I've listened to this, I've been able to make some of my best and favorite images ever. Like this one was from that solo trip, and it was absolutely one of my favorites from this year. And it was my last image in my solo exhibition. It was so fun to print this one. There's just something I feel in here about that white landscape that inspires me, and I always want to return because I know that it's going to lead me to something really special every time I go. And producing work that I love and that resonates deeply with me has taught me to always let my creative inspiration guide me. And I actually know that I won't always make the best work when I listen, but it will always be my most authentic. And as I do follow that, I know my confidence is going to grow because that creative spirit has never let me down, and it won't for you either. So what is your creative spirit whispering to you? What has it compelled you to do? Mine tells me to photograph rocks like all the time. And it's really fun, and I have the most fun. All right. Are you going to listen to what your creative spirit is whispering to you? Oh, how did I draw a thing? Okay. Did you guys see that?
I did see
Weird.
that. It's weird.
Weird, right? I think I double tapped it in a strange way. Oh, I know. Okay, wait, hang on a second. Give me just a second to manage this technical stuff. Okay, this is the most important part. So maybe you're wondering how to listen better. Hopefully that doesn't happen again. Maybe you're wondering how to listen better. Like Brie, how do I listen to my creative spirit, right? And I don't want you to doubt whether or not you have a creative spirit because everyone has intuition. Everyone does. So let's just take that out of the equation. You have it. But in order to really be able to hear those creative whispers, you want to silence some of this internal noise, which can look anything like should or need or have to. If you sang any of those phrases with should, need, or have to, you might want to rethink those. And when those are part of our creative vocabulary, those words actually speak the loudest, and it's so much harder to hear what your intuition is guiding you to do. So if you want to grow in creative confidence and feel good about the work that you do, so you want to get rid of those noisy words. And I love to replace should with could. And I love to replace need and have to with want. Because there's nothing I need to do and so many things I want to do. So as we work towards our various goals, it's going to be necessary to make all kinds of decisions. What images do I like? Where do I get feedback so I can improve? How do I edit this? Do I like the feedback? Am I going to keep it or toss it? What images go together? Like so many questions and decisions that we ask ourselves, right? Or that we have to choose from. Okay. So I actually, in this process, I met with a photographer who was offering a portfolio review. And it was a man, he gave me some all kinds of feedback. And when I was done with the review, I had some choices to make about it. What am I going to keep? What am I not? What do I want to do now with these photos that we talked about? So in order to keep momentum on our creative confidence, we want to make decisions that feel good and not second guess ourselves. And let me just remind you, let's pause for a second. Self-confidence is believing in yourself and trusting in your ability without any past evidence. Okay. So second guessing is doubting yourself, and it's the opposite of the trust and confidence that you want. Okay. So just like with that portfolio review, this is what I needed to do to make decisions that I was really happy with. Okay. So if you want to increase your confidence with decision making, this is what it looks like. This is how I did it. Number one, find and love your reason why you want to do the thing. And because I respected that photographer, I actually wanted to listen to what he had to say. But I also wanted to use my own personal judgment. Remember, listen to that creative intuition. What am I trying to say? So I wanted to kind of balance what am I hearing from him and what feels good to keep. All right. And what feels good to kind of toss. And number two, I wanted to make the decision. At some point, you have to make decisions in order to move forward. And I wanted to make a decision here that I felt good about, not one that sounded like I should do it because he said so, or I need to do this because other people won't like my work. I decided to love each image for a specific reason and change it only based on what I wanted. And number three is don't look back. Trust that you love your why and stand firm in your decision, because only you know what's best for your creative work. This is the second guessing part that you don't want to do. This is how you don't second guess. You just don't look back. You make the good decision. You love your reason and you move forward. Okay. So this is the exact way that I used then, and I still use to put things together, to choose all of my images, to do so much of what I do now is this. When I make decisions, I use this. And I stand by all of my choices, right? I trust my decisions, and that is confidence. Also, in addition, decision-making takes energy. And so I only really want to make those decisions one time. And when I'm rethinking them or second guessing myself, it's like I'm thinking that I'm going to re-decide. And I don't want to do that. I just want to use my energy for actually creating stuff, for my own creativity, for my own photography. Okay. So far we've talked about setting a goal. Do you have one? Are you going to make one? Take action on it. Take small actions, a little at a time. Go do massive action, right? Do some passive and then go out and just do things. And reframe failure. It's okay to fail, because the more you do, the more you're on your way to success. Listen to your creative spirit. Use your intuition to guide you. And don't second guess your decision. Just stop that right now. But when you do, just know that it's self-doubt creeping in again. Love your reasons why, and just decide to make the decision and move forward. Okay. So you can see from all of these 5 already how you can create and grow your own creative confidence by doing these things. And the last one is my absolute favorite. Celebrate success. So often we seek to find the negative in what we do, which so often and like many times keeps us in this self-doubty thinking, like I mentioned at the beginning, right? That I don't know how, I might fail, I'm not sure what the right way is. But being able to see where we are successful is the antidote to this like self-doubt spiral. And many of us shy away from it. But this is such an important step for me in the process of creating confidence in my photographic journey. Here's why. Because when we feel good, this is one of those sayings that I love. Just have a list of them. When we feel good, we do better and we create more of what we want. I want to read that again to you. When we feel good, we do better and we create more of what we want. And this is exactly why I want to feel better. I want to do more of what I want. So this is why I take the time to find even small ways that I'm successful. We just don't do this enough. Seeing what we're doing well is an integral part of turning self-confidence into continuous confidence. We literally create confidence by doing this. Heard some banging. All right, so how do we celebrate? Do we need to be told how to celebrate? Yes, we do. Okay, so on a regular basis, actually, I try weekly or whenever I'm feeling like self-doubty, I like to find at least one way I've been successful. And this is probably the best and sometimes the hardest thing to do to build our confidence, but it's absolutely worth it. So where have you been successful in the past month or so, or year, or wherever? Where can you find this for yourself? I want to pause here to say this work is not bragging. Doing this is not bragging. And when because I actually love to talk to people and we share, I'm in a little group of coaches and we like to share with each other. And we'll start out by talking about some of the ways that we've been successful. And we like to cheer each other on. It's a supportive thing. And because we get a chance to show each other how we're doing well. So I'll share one of mine. I just launched 5 episodes of my new podcast. I mean, how amazing is that? 5 episodes of me by myself, scheduling with all the people, getting the technology, doing all the things. I think that's amazing that I figured out how to do that. And I don't mind saying that. All right. So think of how you've been successful. You can even put in the comments, do that right now. Tell us one way that you, even a tiny thing, doesn't have to be big. Okay. One way you're noticing success for yourself. All right. So here's the second thing that we do. So you look for one way you've been successful, even if it's small, and then you celebrate you. You have to actually celebrate. And it's not a yay. It's not just like, yay, good for me. This is like, put on your favorite music and dance, or go take a well-deserved nap, right? There's so many different ways you can celebrate, but we want to actually physically mark how we're doing this and telling ourselves in our bodies how we're doing well. This is super important, y'all. Not kidding. Okay, so here's some ways I do it. I can indulge in a book. I have a bunch of photography books back here. So if I've just done something that I feel is kind of like difficult, I will celebrate my success. I'll give myself a pat on the back, and then I'll sit down for 15 or 30 minutes with some inspiration and just peruse through a book and give myself time to relax. You can go on an extended walk. You can just anything that feels splurgy. Okay. The point is to do something physical because we want our minds and our bodies to remember this. Remember this? Oops. Wow. Hang on. When we feel good, we do better and we create more of what we want. That's what we want to remind ourselves of. All right. So once again, here are all the steps that you can take to build your own creative confidence. Consider which one resonates with you. Will it be not second guessing decisions? Are you currently deciding on something and you're not quite sure? Right? What would it take for you to just make that decision? Are you stuck in passive action and you just need to get out there and do some massive action? What would that take for you? I have been over the past year really working on listening to my creative spirit and just guiding me where it tells me to go, which is one reason I have a podcast because that podcast really speaks to me because I want to hear more stories from women, and so that's what's propelling me forward right now. So don't worry about doing all of these all at once. Creating confidence takes time and practice, and it builds on itself as you do that, right? While you work to achieve your creative goals. And the great thing about creating confidence is that as we do create it and create more of it, that all the things that we do feel easier and less stressful and actually a lot more fun. And that to me is awesome because that's what I want. I want to have more fun. And that's it. We did 6 things. Thank you so much for joining me in this presentation. If you want copies, by the way, of all of these things, you can either rewatch it. I think this gets saved and posted, or you can email me and I can send you a few things.
Yeah.
And like Linda said before, I'm just going to take this like super quick. Like Linda said before, I am now doing these women photography escapes. And this one is, I have one spot left on this one next month in November. And it's a kayaking trip. It's all inclusive. So you can just message me if you're interested in that. And this is how you can get a hold of me. Oops. And that's it.
That's a lot, Brie. I had to giggle when you said your creative spirit likes to take pictures of rocks. I immediately said, well, mine likes to take pictures of trees.
Right?
Yeah, I don't know. It's those things that we're drawn to. All right.
I know, but listen, for so long, when I first started landscape photography, I thought what you did was go out and take pictures of wide landscapes. I heard all kinds of talk about wide angle lens and getting low and doing the foreground this. And whenever I would try it, it just didn't quite feel right. So as soon as I started giving myself permission to take pictures of rocks and such, then I felt so much better about what I was doing. So I just think that's important to trust that because that comes out, it comes out in our work.
Right. And because I'm drawn to landscape and nature photography as well. And there's so many people that are they're just obsessed with those big scenes. Go big, go far, hike hard. Sometimes we just can't physically do it. And if you're not photographing what you love, what is the point? So
right.
and I love that your presentation was do what makes you feel good. And it's really about your fingerprint and how you're going to show the world what you're doing. And when it comes down to it, the only person you need to impress is yourself. So
I think when you do that, you photograph what you love.
Yeah.
Your work is better.
Yeah, I agree.
Even if you could be drawn to all kinds of things, but figure out like what it is about it that you love about it.
keeps you
because I think your work will be better.
right. What keeps getting you motivated to get up before the sun even is thinking about moving. So it's about passion. It's about
No,
creativity and it's about inspiration. And inspiration, the best part of it comes from you. You have to have it in you before you can show it to anybody else. So with that, I'm going to thank you for coming. Let me ask you to take down your screen so I can
I was just going to
quickly.
ask you if you wanted me to do
Yeah,
that. Okay.
yeah,
Oh, this was my, if you want an assignment, you
yeah.
can do this. Here, if y'all want an assignment from this presentation, you can take a quick little screenshot of this and then go do it. There's an assignment. I love assignments.
I hate assignments.
Well, you don't have to. I'll ask my clients. I'm like, do you
Yeah.
want me to give you something? Or actually, I'm gonna stop sharing. My I had a session with a client this week, and she said, "Okay, what's my assignment?" I said, "No assignment. Keep doing what you're doing. Just do the same stuff. It's working."
Ah, it's where
So, yeah.
isn't that nice?
Yeah, when you know it's working, you just keep doing the same thing, and it's awesome.
All right. Well, Brie, thank you for taking the time. I know this is something that you love to do and you're passionate about, and encouraging other people to just kind of get up and start doing. And I get motivated by people that are motivating. So thank you for kind of giving that 1-2 punch and taking the time to spend with us tonight.
Absolutely. It was
So,
fun. I had a good time. Obviously, I'm standing, and so I allowed myself to be really animated.
all right, you can connect with Brie one more time through her coaching website, creativemindscoach.com, and her photography related work on her site is wildwomanphotography.com. Our next meeting is on Thursday, November 2nd, and Amy Davies will be here to share her presentation, Getting Your Photography into People's Homes. Until next time, I hope that you get a chance to get your camera out and play just a little bit. And we'll see you in November.